that's exactly the challenge that I'm saying is hard to do. You never know at which point you want to delegate and hold them accountable versus saying, I want to make the... So let me answer your question with a question. And there's no one size fit all, so don't ask. It's just you have to every time try. And there's no framework that I've come across to solve this. But when anything comes up, you have to make a decision. Either entrust my team, give them as much context, and set up what success looks like, and let them go out and do that, when you may have a probability of what that's going to look like and if it's going to be successful or failure, versus saying, I'm going to have to make the call and do it my way versus do it their way. And the there's a lot of pros and cons, but simply said, let's say the pro of making your own call may be that you have a higher chance of success in that individual one-time discovery. This feature may be better.
This particular functionality.
This particular function, maybe. Yeah. If you truly are more qualified, right? Versus letting your team take a stab at it. And let's just say you have, as an individual, as a founder, CEO, you may have 90% because you know the customer better, you've been doing this longer or whatever, versus your team has a 65% chance of success for this individual function. That 65%, if you continue to make your own calls, your team will never be able to learn from their own mistakes and reorient that, which is very powerful. So maybe that 65% goes to failure. You saw that, you could have stopped it, but you decided not to so that that team can learn, and then the next time it goes to 70 or 75%. And you have the right framework and measurement of success and accountability where you're checking in on a weekly basis and say, well, what happened here, right? What did you learn from this? How do you make this better? And you have to hold them accountable to that process. And sometimes there are decisions where are too risky, that are how do you make a call? Because the benefit of your team learning from a very big fuck up is very valuable if they learn from it.
Yeah, it's not a fuck up and they learn something from it.
Well, right, but what are lethal fuck ups and what are fuck ups that you can take a hit from? And what's that continuum? And every single decision you make is different. And then you don't even know what can be lethal. Something that you thought wouldn't be lethal. Oh, they can screw up. Some other thing that you didn't know could happen, and it could be a lethal fuck up. So you have to make a gut check with all the data you have as a risk call, say long term versus we can't afford to do this. And that's in my opinion, that's a very large burden on any leader, is you have to know when to entrust your team and when you make the call. Because you can't always make the call, and sometimes you have to be able, there's too much on the line